Today we're going to talk about how to help a child who stutters. And this is right up my alley. I've got about 7 tips that are going to help you to talk to your child who may be dealing with stuttering.
Obviously, Vicky's a lot more of an expert on this than I am. I've worked with some kids who stutter from the psychological standpoint. Vicky, you're a speech language pathologist, and you've done this professionally for how long now?
Over 20 years. I don't know how many. But
That's why she's here as the expert. And you've got some tips for us on how to help a child who stutters.
yeah, first of all, it's not uncommon for a child to have an episode of stuttering sometime between the ages of 3 and 7. And that's usually when parents come and ask me like, oh, what am I supposed to do about this? I like the very first thing I always talk to parents about is reducing your pace, how fast you speak.
Oh, slow it down.
Yeah, we just have to slow it down. I have to remind myself all the time because I kind of talk fast. So one of the things you want to do is slow down. I tell parents that if you're slowing it down and you think you've slowed it down, go down 2 more notches. Because we rarely talk as slow as we kind of need to model for, especially when you're talking about young children who stutter. A lot of the times they're stuttering because neurologically they just haven't developed quick enough or all the way in order to catch up with all the thoughts going through their head. Their language hasn't developed, and so they just need a little more time.
You know, I'm chuckling a little bit over here because some of you have commented in previous videos that I talk very slowly. And I do. I've slowed it down. I have a voice disorder. And this is one of the times that I started to do that because I have some disfluencies that I have to slow down so that I can get it right. And in these videos, I slow it down for that reason, as well as for some of the transcriptions that are happening in other languages and things like that, just to make it more understandable. But I use the word disfluency. I learned that from you.
Right. You know, everybody is disfluent at some point, like right there. You just say the word wrong, or you stumble on it a little, or you repeat yourself. Stuttering is when those disfluencies start to interrupt the way you communicate with other people, or make you start to avoid saying things, or perhaps changing the way that you're talking. That's when you start talking about stuttering, true stuttering.
So slowing it down is probably the first tip.
Definitely.
What's next?
You want to use or employ full listening. This is when you actually give your child full attention. Now, that doesn't mean that you're doing full attention all the time. Like every time they talk, whoop, here comes my child, I got to talk to him. Find times that you can give your full attention to them. Turn to them. Get down on their level. And just, we've talked a lot about this in parenting, about modeling soft face, soft look, calm voice. You want to do that with kids as well who are stuttering. One of the most fascinating videos I ever saw when I was in graduate school, they videotaped parents watching a videotape of their child stuttering. And you would see all these, they would be going like, you could just see all this anxiety on the parent's face watching their child, almost like trying to help them get through the stuttering moment. So sometimes what we need to do is just kind of take a moment, take a big breath, and just be fully present with your child. So even if you can just find maybe 5 minutes a day to have full listening with this child. And that sort of leads into tip number 3. It's natural to ask questions. But what we do a lot of the times is we find that we rapid fire questions. 1 question, 2 questions. Did you go to school? How was it? Did you talk to your friend? How was it? Did you play? You know,
I'm feeling myself getting more tense as you do that.
So yeah, it's really, and that's really hard for the child who's stuttering. So you want to kind of limit your questions, or after your questions, you're going to practice pausing. When you are asking questions, go ahead and introduce wait time. And I literally do this at work. Sometimes I will ask a question and then count 1. Just give them time to answer. Give them quite a bit of time to answer.
You're really cueing yourself to just back off and give them the time to process it.
Which actually leads really well into tip number 4 is turn taking. You got to make sure that you are taking your turn to talk and then letting your child take the other turn to talk. And you're probably going to have to cue the other members of your family into this too.
Because they're engaging in habits as
Right.
well, whatever
Yeah.
you've been doing in the past.
So other kids might be kind of talking over your child. Most parents are going to see the stuttering increase when there's 2 or 3 kids vying for your attention. It's like they're trying to talk faster and louder just so they can get your attention. So you're going to have to model and kind of teach turn taking.
Just from a psychological standpoint, Vicki, the tension, the stress is part of what exacerbates the disfluency.
Right.
And so anything that we can do to calm that down and slow it down and take turns,
It's
all
gonna
those
help.
are really great points. Calming it down also helps kids to start gaining confidence. And I think can we use that as one of the tips?
You bet.
Do I get to contribute one? So confidence, I think, helps to counteract some of that anxiety and
Right.
tension that's causing the problem to be there anyway. And other activities that you can do to increase confidence. We've done other videos about
Right.
that, but let's throw that in.
Yeah.
Increase their confidence.
Okay, tip number 6 I love. It's talking about finding time to have just a special time with your child. My favorite time is reading.
Like one-on-one.
One-on-one, and it doesn't even have to be very long. One of my first tips I tell parents is read a story to your child every day and read it about almost half as fast as you normally would. And you're modeling both the
So we're
quiet
slowing it
time,
down
the
again.
slowed time, but you're also doing one-on-one time. And this is a great
it.
opportunity to just spend that special one-on-one time with your child.
Which will build the relationship as well.
Yeah. And finally, normal rules still apply. Some people think, well, if he stutters, does that mean I can't discipline him or I shouldn't make him have to do his chores? No, treat him like
No
everybody
special
else.
treatment.
No special treatment.
In fact, that might make it worse, if you try
Right.
to single them out as a special case or something.
Right.
So same
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah, so these are just some tips that can help you dealing with a child who is stuttering. If for some reason your child is getting to the point where they're stuttering more than 10% of the time, or pretty much every time they're talking, or perhaps they're avoiding situations, social situations, or changing the way that they, maybe not even saying things that they would like to say, it's probably time to seek some professional help. And so you might want to reach out to a pediatrician, or you can go on to the American Speech and Hearing and Language Association website, and you can find a speech language pathologist in your area. Thanks for joining us today. If you want to get more information about this, Paul and I have teamed up on our Parenting Power Up.
You can get there really easily with the link right over there or the one down in the description. We're so happy to be on your team.